In a world that had forgotten its way, a world filled with noise and shadows, there lived one man who still listened. His name was Noah. He was a good man, a righteous man, who walked faithfully with God in a time when everyone else had turned away. The world had become a place of deep sadness, and God's heart was filled with pain. He saw the brokenness and decided to wash the world clean, to start anew. But he also saw Noah, and in Noah he saw hope. One day, God spoke to Noah, giving him a task that seemed impossible. "Noah," he said, "I am going to bring a great flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. But I will establish my covenant with you. You are to build an ark, a massive boat made of gopher wood." God gave Noah the exact measurements, every detail, every room, every window. It was to be a floating sanctuary, a vessel of salvation. "You shall bring into the ark your wife, your sons, and their wives. And you are to bring 2 of every living creature, male and female, to keep them alive with you." Noah didn't question. He didn't hesitate. He simply trusted. Wheat, Esons, Shem, Hem, and Japheth. He began the colossal project. Day after day, they worked under the hot sun. The sound of hammers and saws filled the air. People from nearby towns would come to watch, pointing and laughing. A boat on dry land? They'd mock. Has old Noah lost his mind? There isn't a cloud in the sky. They couldn't see what Noah saw. They couldn't hear the voice he heard. But Noah's faith was stronger than their doubt. He kept building, board by board, his heart fixed on God's promise. He preached and warned them, pleading with them to turn from their ways. But they would not listen. Pas. The ark, a monument of faith, stood complete. It was a magnificent sight, larger than anything anyone had ever seen. Then a miracle began to unfold. From the forests, the jungles, and the plains they came. Animals of every kind, moving as if guided by an unseen hand. Lions walked peacefully beside lambs. Towering giraffes and mighty elephants, tiny field mice and colorful birds. They came in pairs, 2 by 2, and walked up the long ramp and into the safety of the ark. The people watched in stunned silence. The mocking stopped, replaced by a sense of awe and confusion. Noah and his family guided the last of the animals inside, carrying with them the food they had gathered. Finally, Noah, his wife, his sons, and their wives entered the ark. And then the great door of the ark was shut, not by Noah's hand, but by the hand of God himself. For 7 days, they waited inside. The world outside went on as usual. Then, on the 7th day, the first drop of rain fell. Then another, and another. A gentle pitter-patter turned into a steady downpour, and the downpour became a torrent. The sky turned dark, and the windows of heaven opened up. Water also burst forth from the great deeps of the earth. The streams and rivers swelled, overflowing their banks. The water level rose, and rose, and rose. The people who had mocked now ran for higher ground, but there was nowhere to hide. The water kept coming. Inside the ark, it was a different world. It was dark, save for the light from the single window high above. The sounds of the storm were deafening, and the boat creaked and groaned as it was tossed on the churning water. Yet it was a place of peace, a place of safety. Noah and his family cared for the animals, their days filled with the routine of feeding and cleaning. They were surrounded by the chaos of the flood, but they were protected by the promise of God. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain fell without stopping. The water covered everything, even the highest mountains. Only Noah and those with him in the ark remained. The waters prevailed upon the earth for 150 days. Then God remembered Noah. He sent a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters began to recede. Slowly, painstakingly, the water levels dropped. The ark, after months of floating, finally came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Still, they waited. Noah was patient. He knew God's timing was perfect. After many more weeks, Noah opened the window of the ark and sent out a raven, which flew back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find no place to set its foot, so it returned to him in the ark. Noah waited another 7 days and sent the dove out again. This time, the dove returned in the evening, and in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Noah knew then that the waters were finally going down. It was a sign of new life, a symbol of peace. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out once more. This time, it did not return. The land was ready. Then God spoke to Noah. "Go out from the ark, you and your wife, and your sons and their wives with you. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number." With joyful hearts, Noah and his family opened the great door. They stepped out onto damp, fresh earth, breathing in the clean air of a brand new world. The animals poured out of the ark, spreading out across the renewed landscape. Noah's first act on the new earth was to build an altar to the Lord. He and his family gathered together and gave thanks to God for their deliverance, for his faithfulness, and for this new beginning. As the smoke from their offering ascended to the heavens, God was pleased, and he made a promise, not just to Noah, but to all of humanity and every living creature for all generations to come. He said, "I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth, and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my promise.